Hey, hi everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in today's video, we'll be diving into the exciting world of the object-oriented programming or OOPS in Python. So whichever language you are using, if they are operating on classes and objects, then it's very necessary for you to know the object-oriented programming. Okay. So whether you are coding newbie or an experienced developer who is looking to enhance their skills, understanding OOPS is essential for creating any robust or scalable application. Okay, so in this video we'll be talking about OOPS, its core principles, and how to apply them effectively. So in this video series actually we'll be talking about how to apply these concepts more effectively. Okay, so let's grab our notebooks and get started with this. Okay, let's start with the definition of OOPS first. Okay, so object-oriented programming is a fundamental concept in every programming language that allows the developer to leverage full capabilities of a programming language, which can be used to design an elegant, effective, and very efficient solution to a very complex problem as well. Okay, so the core OOPS principle are classes, objects, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, and encapsulation. Okay, so there are some terms that you might have heard like inheritance and objects. So these are like classes as well. So these are exactly what you are thinking they are. Okay, but how to implement them? I'll be showing them in the individual lectures for these individual principles. Okay. So in Python, OOPS is a programming paradigm that uses the objects and classes in programming, and the main idea behind using this OOPS concept is to bind the data and functions that work together as a single unit, so no part of the code can access this data. Okay, so when you are combining all these core principles, you can achieve this exact definition that I told you. And believe it or not, it is a very good practice, and it is asked for your LLD rounds as well, LLDs and machine coding round. So these all rounds, these both like not the LLD but machine coding round in your interviews is highly dependent on your OOPS concept, your solid principle, and the design patterns. Okay, we should not go in that much depth. We'll remain in the OOPS concepts right now only. So let's without wasting any time, let's begin with the what the classes are. Okay, so what are classes? Classes are just the collection of objects which are created using the keyword class. Okay, so you can see the syntax over here. So we just use the keyword class and then we give the class name. It can be whatever you want, and below it there will be the attributes, or below that there will be the variables, functions that you want to put that in the class. And yeah, you want those variable to be defined inside those class, this class. Okay, so basically a class contains the blueprints or the prototype from which the objects are being created. So as I said, classes are the collection of objects. So it just the class just contains the blueprints or prototypes from which the objects are being created. It is a logical entity that contains some attributes and methods. Okay, so all of these stuff, attributes, methods, objects, they will be inside our class. Okay, sorry, not the objects, the attributes and the methods, they will be like contained inside this class. Okay, so some points to note regarding the attributes. So attributes are the variables that belong to a class. Okay, and attributes are always public and they can be accessed using a dot operator. Okay, so for example, if I have a attribute, like let's say this is my class. Okay, I'll not write it. If for example, if I have attribute named let's say attribute only, attribute underscore name. So if I want to access this inside the class, I can just do class name dot attribute name. Let's talk about objects. Okay, So object is basically an entity that has state and a behavior. Okay, whatever data structures that you use, I'll not term it as data structure. I'll say, okay, I'll keep it simple. So integers, strings, dictionaries, float numbers, lists, whatever you are using, they are all objects. Okay, now defining the state and behavior. So state is represented by the attribute of an object. So I am saying attributes a lot of time. So I'll just give a brief introduction of attributes. So attributes are the specifications that define the properties of object, element, or let's say files. Okay. So there are two types of attributes. One is class attribute and one is instant attribute. So you can talk about, like, learn about them from your Google or anything. But to give the brief introduction, class attributes are those attributes which are shared between all the instances of the class. Okay, so instance of the class is also the object. So whatever the attributes, whatever the class attributes are, they are shared between all these objects. Okay, they are defined outside of the construction function and can be accessed as a property of the class or like instance of the class. Okay, and for the instance attribute, these are just the attributes that are owned by one specific instance only. Okay, so they are more about local to one of the instance. Okay, and they are more under the encapsulation. So when we will be talking about encapsulation, this topic will come up, so don't worry. Now talking about the behavior, so it is represented by the method of an object or by the way one object communicates with the another. Okay, next, identity. So as the name suggests, it gives unique name to object and lets it communicate with the other objects. Okay, and finally objects is nothing but basically the instance of the class. So you have designed the entire class, you have multiple functions inside of it, multiple variables inside of it, and like you want to initiate that class so that you can use it in your code somewhere. So what the creation of that instance of the class is the object only. Fine, and like the one I said over here. Okay, so instead of class name, now you can do object dot attribute name. So this attribute name can be the function or can be the other attribute inside that particular class. Okay, so before we jump into the practical explanation of the classes and objects and how they are dependent, or now I'll not say dependent, how they are used at the same time, let's first discuss about some important topic. Okay, so one is self keyword and one is init keyword. Okay, so what is self keyword? So whenever you are initializing a method inside of your class, there is supposed to be a default parameter, a default first parameter. Okay, and its name is self. And whenever the object is instantiated or like the method is called, Python automatically provides a value to this self keyword and you don't need to do anything about it. Okay, so even if your method has zero parameters to be passed, okay, by method I mean a function over here. Okay, so if in your method, if there are zero parameters to be passed, there should be a default parameter present over there, which is self. If you haven't added self keyword, your function will like your code will start to give errors. Okay, so this self keyword is similar to the pointers in C++. Okay, next we have init keyword. So init keyword is like similar to the constructors in Java. Okay, and I think C++ as well. So what it does is it runs as soon as object is initialized. Okay, so over here when I did this object is equals to class name, so there will be an init function inside this class name. Okay, which will be like start working and store all the values, all the default values that you have provided inside the init function, and it will be accessed by the entire your entire code. So it just become like a global variable for your class only. Okay, a local variable for the class. That's better, I think. Yeah. Okay, so for this init keyword, we like this can be useful to do any initialization within the object, as I told. Okay, so for example, if you want a default value, or you want a list inside your, like empty list inside your function, which will be used inside your class, which will be used by multiple other functions inside that class. So you can like initialize all of those in the init method. Okay, so I think this video has gone for quite some time. So I will do the practical implementation in the next video. Till that time, like please do watch the videos. If you have any issues, do let me know, and do mention in the comments. I'll be very happy to answer all the queries. Okay. Till that time, have a great day. Good night, and please do like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.